Hello there, everyone, and welcome to your weekly MTA planned work video for the weekend of July 20th, 2018, and going until July 23rd, 2018 for the Queens Subways and Long Island Railroad. Quick, unrelated subway note we need to talk about for people going to Yankee Stadium this weekend for the Subway Series. Yankees playing the Mets, and more importantly, for anybody going to WFAN Yankee Fan Fest. There'll be a lot of people going to that this weekend, taking place on the 22nd. Good news is, I can happily report, no major service changes on the BDM4 trains. But I do recommend for express service to Yankee Stadium, please take the D or the 4, because if you take the B, that is the Harlem local. You don't want to deal with that. Trust me, it's a headache. So again, regular express service to Yankee Stadium will be available on the D and the 4 line this weekend for the Subway Series at Yankee Stadium. Another point I want to make. Last week we had to rush through and do Google Hangouts for this because I went to Delmarva. This week, no rush. I'm back in New York. As you can tell, I'm back in my studio. I'm glad I'm back talking to you guys because honestly, just felt weird doing videos with my phone screen recorder last week. But at least I got to talk to all of you what need to be addressed during the time I was away. I found time to do it. And honestly, my phone processed the videos very well, and the hotel's Wi-Fi cooperated in a way that it was slow, but it got the job done. But just feels nice being in my studio back in New York. And now I can talk to you, and we can do what the Microsoft PowerPoint is always intended to do for these weekly updates, and that is give you your information. So without further ado, let's go to the first topic. That is, of course, the Queens Subways. How are we doing this weekend? Let's take a look at the 7. We have a major service change. It's going to be major in a way, but there's a way to somehow not have a big headache from it. It's going to start 11:45 p.m. on the 20th and lasting until the 22nd. Flushing Main Street bound 7 service will run express from 74th Street Broadway to Willets Point due to signal modernization. For service to stations between 74th Street Broadway and Willets Point, wait for the next westbound train at Willets Point, which unfortunately I wouldn't recommend waiting over there because I'm going to be honest. Remember, the Yankees and the Mets are playing at Yankee Stadium this weekend, and you don't want to be at an abandoned area. Well, something could happen. I don't want anybody taking a risk. So, best thing to do is just go to Flushing Main Street. There's more people over there, and you can get the westbound train to where you need to go. I know it's a big headache. I'm going to quickly mention if you are at a station that's accessible via the Q32 bus, I believe, you could use that option. You could have that option available. I'm not too sure about it, but another thing I could recommend is maybe try to look for alternative bus service. I couldn't really find anything exact, but the easiest way, and I'm going to say this again, just go to Flushing Main Street. Don't get off at Willets Point. Go to Flushing Main Street where, again, more people waiting for a train. And more importantly, if you do go to Flushing Main Street, there's at least, 3 trains the most leaving to go westbound to Hudson Yards. So, yeah, just do that. That makes it a whole lot easier in my opinion. At least you can get where you need to be quicker. Trust me, I know this for a fact. M train's only going to have the usual typical headache. Alright, so how's this headache going to end up? You have no M service, right? And it's only a minor headache because honestly, it's the same old story, right? The same old story. Signal improvements, right? So, let's go quickly to the R. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to get straight to the point. 5:30 a.m., starting on Saturday morning and lasting until 11:30 p.m. on the 22nd. Forest Hills bound R trains will run express from Queensboro Plaza to Forest Hills 71st Avenue due to signal modernization. So, how are you going to do it? Well, it's easy. Just go to Forest Hills and take the next westbound train. It's as simple as that. You don't have to take the Q60. Because if you take the Q60, your trip will be delayed. And more importantly, if you want to know where your train is, just look for the timetable. It's somewhere around Forest Hills 71st. I've seen them put up just earlier this year. Or if you have a mobile-friendly browser, just go on subwaytime.mta.info, look for the R train, and you will know when your train's coming. That's the best way I can help you in this situation. Because again, I'm advising everyone, do not cram on the Q60. Alright? If you get on the Q60, your trip will be delayed. If you don't have to take the Q60 and you're by an R train station, don't take the Q60. The people who need the Q60 are the ones who need to get into Woodside. So don't inconvenience them. Alright? That's all I'm saying. Because that's an area of Queens Boulevard that's honestly not accessible by subway. So I'm just only looking out for those people. E&F headaches. Oh boy. Where do we even begin with this? I'm going to have to dissect into each issue here. Alright, so 9:45 p.m. on the 20th and lasting until the 23rd at 5 o'clock in the morning. E-trains are going to be rerouted in both directions between the F, starting at 21st Street, Queensbridge, and Lexington Avenue, 63rd Street, and going on the R line between 57th Street and, believe it or not, Whitehall Street. The last stop due to signal improvements. Oh, so what does this mean for trying to get over to World Trade Center? Well, the best thing I can do in this situation here, if you can, and I'm going to mention this, if you can get to Times Square via the E, walk underground, and you're going to take the downtown. Actually, no, there's no other way to get to World Trade, right? Because the E's the only one. I'm not even going to get into it. You know why? Because it's just a bigger headache. Unless my subway map over here can help me. I'm pulling it up. I'll read this in the meantime. The downtown F train is going to be rerouted via the E from Roosevelt Avenue to 42nd Street Port Authority, then via the A to J Street Metro Tech. Jamaica-bound F trains are going to be rerouted via the E after 47th Street, 50th Street, Rockefeller Plaza to Queensboro Plaza. You can use the A, C, or F train to complete your trip via transfer at Roosevelt Avenue, E, F, and or West 4th Street. But again, here's the problem. Here's the big issue. There are, of course, international people who go on the International Stock Exchange at the World Trade Center, right? On Sunday morning when the Japanese stock market's open. And that's going to be a big problem. So, I think I may have found a way for you to get to World Trade Center. I may have found a decent way to get over to the World Trade Center. Here's what you're going to do if you want to get to the World Trade Center. The best thing I can recommend you can do this weekend, and I know this is not one of the best options, if you can get to either Chambers Street on the A or C line, or take the 2 and the 3 train and go to Park Place. If you can get to Park Place, that's going to be one of your options available this weekend. That's one option I can help you with at the moment. Another option could... No, you can't use PATH, right? Because PATH doesn't go into that area. Because if you take PATH, that's a longer way longer option in this case. You wouldn't want to do that, trust me. Now, there is another way you could do it if you want to take a long walk from, let's say, I don't know, Bowling Green as an example. That's another option I can maybe recommend. I wouldn't know. I have done it before. I have walked to the World Trade Center from that station once. I'm not going to say why for personal reasons, but you could do that. You could. It's not a bad walk. It's only about maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from the Lexington Avenue line. So, those are other alternatives I can give you. Right. You can also use the A, C, or D trains. Right. Like I figured. So, let's say you want to take the A, the C. Right. Like I mentioned, you can go to Chambers, or you can go to Park Place via the 2 and the 3 line, and there's an underground passageway that goes to the World Trade Center. Right. Like I mentioned before. If I didn't mention it, I'll say it again. And if I didn't mention it, you have the A, C, or D line. Now, I'm thinking, why are they mentioning the D train? I don't know why. That's very confusing. I'm not going to get into it. But you do have the A and the C. You can get off at Chambers. You can go underground. There is an underground passageway. So, we'll go to part 2 now. Coney Island bound Fs will run via the E from Roosevelt to Port Authority. Then I already went into that. Right. We don't need to get into that. Right. Again, this is just the same headache that they gave me. I need to mention that Jamaica-bound F trains are going to be skipping 75th Avenue and Bryanwood and 7th Boulevard due to signal modernization. The best thing I can do is, if you can get to Hillside 169th Street, just take the next westbound train and you can complete your trip. So, you can also, I'll recommend this if you can get to Union Turnpike as an example. You can walk 3 blocks west, Kew Gardens Union Turnpike Station. That's a little bit less of a walk in my opinion. Briarwood, you could take the Q60 bus if you have to. Just take the next bus at Kew Gardens Union Turnpike. Suffolk Boulevard. You could take the Q60, but then here's the problem. You have to get off on Hillside, and then you have to walk west. Which, if you want to do that, you have that option. You do have that option definitely available, but you can just go to Hillside 169th Street, and you can complete your trip. Take the next westbound Coney Island train. You can do that. So you're not completely screwed. You're not completely screwed. So that's a good story on that front. Good news is, N trains will be running regularly between Coney Island and Astoria this weekend. W trains will run until midnight, so you have your regular service in Astoria, so don't even worry about that. I know a lot of people were being concerned this weekend because they were going to be concerned, wondering, oh, we need our service. How are we going to transfer to the 6th train at Lexington Avenue and 59th Street using our Metro cards? Well, Astoria fans, Yankee and Met fans in Astoria, you're not screwed this weekend. You do have your transfer available. So if you want to take the 4 train from Lexington Avenue and 59th Street, you will have that option this weekend. Because again, this was a weekend that Astoria service couldn't be touched. Alright? This is one of those weekends. And I'll quickly mention it for anybody as an example. We'll go back for a quick example here. Downtown Fs are rerouted via the E from Roosevelt. So I'm trying to figure this out here. Right. Okay. So here's the good news. If you need to get to Yankee Stadium this weekend, the E will be running on the F. So I think that's very good news. So, let's see the downtown trains, right? Okay. This is what I'm going to recommend you do. If you can get to Roosevelt Avenue at all, get to the next westbound train. Get to Roosevelt and take the next westbound train. Right? Get to Roosevelt, you're going to take the E. You're going to take the E train to Lexington Avenue and 63rd Street. And if you have your transfer, and if you're not coming from the bus, the good news is, I mentioned this earlier, you can use your Metro card, walk 3 blocks south on Lexington Avenue, and take the Uptown 4 train. Because I know a lot of people are going to get worried in Queens as well. Oh, how are we supposed to get to Yankee Stadium? How are we supposed to get to Yankee Stadium? Well, the good news is, you're not screwed. And in my situation, if I was going to the Yankee game, and I knew about this information, guess where I would be going this weekend? I would be going to Jamaica and take the Long Island Railroad to and from the game. Because guess what? I have an easy situation. I could just walk to Herald Square and take the D train. Because I mentioned this earlier, the D is not affected. So, if you can get to Woodside this weekend and utilize the Long Island Railroad, go to Penn Station, and then walk to the D train or the B train, please utilize that option. Because you do have that option. You're not out of luck. I'm just going to say that now. I'm going to go on the record. That's what I would honestly be doing. Just taking the Long Island Railroad to and from, if I was that desperate. But let's go back to where I was saying. Right. This is where I need to begin. So, new Long Island Railroad timetables are going to go effect this Saturday, July 21st. There will be new timetables starting. Timetables will last until Labor Day, which is Monday, September 3rd. Please pick up the new schedules at your station and or update your PDF file viewer using your smartphone. You know, a lot of people these days, including me, use Google Drive or the Adobe app. My particular case, I use Google Drive and I view the files offline. You can, of course, update your files via USB transfer or download via the Long Island Railroad schedule website. Just find the PDF files and you're all good. I will be updating them after I pretty much upload this video. So, here's the situation on the Port Washington branch this weekend. We have buses replacing trains between Port Washington, Blaine Dome, Manhasset, and Great Neck because of state of good repair maintenance on the Manhasset Viaduct. There will be hourly service between Great Neck and Penn Station this weekend. So, they're telling you to plan for 25 minutes of additional travel time and to pick up the timetables this weekend and to check the PDF file on the Long Island Railroad website. Here's the situation for westbound and eastbound service. Westbound service. Customers at stations Port Washington, Blaine Dome, and Manhasset will board a bus or van to Great Neck. Buses will depart up to 25 minutes earlier than normal train times. At Great Neck, customers will connect with trains for service to points west. Eastbound trains to Great Neck will depart Penn Station hourly. Alright? So you only have hourly service this weekend at Penn. At Great Neck, customers will board a van or bus to stations Manhasset, Blaine Dome, and Port Washington. So, it's a headache for Port Washington riders. That's interesting. Well, serves those people right for having a snobby lifestyle in a way. It's not like the preppy little Babylon branch, which I wish, honestly, this misery would happen on the Babylon branch, but that's where I'm going to end it at this point before any more controversy comes. That's going to end the Service Changes video for this week. Thankfully, in regards to the third track project, there is no work between Ronkonkoma and Hicksville this weekend, if anybody was asking. That was last weekend. I think I mentioned that. Also, I'm going to quickly mention last weekend, Matt Campa covered the Bustitution in Hicksville last Sunday, the 15th. He did a video about it. So if you want to check his channel out, you can. There was also a brief cameo from High Power LI, which, even though he's not really doing mass transit videos anymore, it just felt good to see him just talk about mass transit for a few minutes, because it just felt weird not hearing him talk about these issues anymore. But I understand why, and I mentioned it in a walk and talk a few weeks ago, how he couldn't handle doing the day-to-day video making process of talking about mass transit issues daily, and he needed a break. That was understandable. But yeah, it was a good video. I'll quickly mention it. I watched it while I was in Delaware. I found it a little bit entertaining. The only negative thing was I couldn't hear Matt on the train, because honestly, you're on a train, you can't talk loud. But honestly, I would have done the news segment back here or at the brick wall here in Fresh Meadows. That's only one criticism, but it's not to, make it sound bad. But, when MTA Prodigy does his news segment, he does it at the station, which that's something I like. That's something I actually enjoy. And Matt Campa has, of course, collaborated with Prodigy before, and I'm still working on, and I mentioned this before, doing a station tour with them Saturday, August 25th at Wantua. That's still hopefully a go. I'll confirm it with them when I get back from Delmarva in August. I'll also confirm that right now. I am taking another trip to Delmarva. I'll give details when the trip gets closer. But I'm definitely going back in August. All I'm just going to say is that I'm definitely going back to my parents' condo in Ocean City, Maryland. And if you know, I go there on occasion, and this trip's going to be different. I'm actually going back to the same hotel I stayed at in Dover, Delaware. Which, again, I don't want to be swatted. Nobody needs to know where I'm staying. But we're doing it because, honestly, it was stressful coming all the way from New York to, honestly, Maryland to New York. It's a stressful trip. When you do it from Dover, Delaware, folks, all I'm going to say is that the trip gets a whole lot easier and makes it less stressful. That's where I'm going to end that point on. But before I ramble on any longer, yes, plan extra travel time. Make sure you do that. And if you're using mass transit to get to the Yankee Met Subway Series this weekend, if you're using the Long Island Railroad, especially on the Port Washington branch, please, once again, plan for additional travel time. I wouldn't encourage traveling to Great Neck just to move your car, because, honestly, that would be a complete waste of time. The only thing I could recommend doing is if you want to go to Bayside and try looking for parking, you may have a decent chance, but in downtown Bayside on weekends, it gets crowded. It really does. I would recommend Auburndale if you're that desperate, but remember, Auburndale only has hourly train service. But for a fact, and I'm going to recommend this, if you can park near Osnum Hall, it's only about a 10-minute walk to the Auburndale train station if you need to get to Station Road. So if you can park around the vicinity of Northern and Francis Lewis, and let's say if you can't get to the Auburndale train station, you might want to end up instead taking the Q12 or the Q13 bus to go to Flushing Main Street. That is another alternative I can recommend. I will quickly mention that. I forgot to mention that. So I'm only looking out for those people. And on weekends around Osnum, parking's usually good. I know this and again, I work there, but I know for a fact, if you need service, just go to Flushing Main Street. That's what I'll say. You have the Q12, you have the Q13, just take those buses, utilize them, and that's where I'll end it. So, till the next one, everyone. And if you are going to the Subway Series, enjoy the Yankee Stadium this weekend, and if you are going to Yankee Fan Fest on Sunday, enjoy that. I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing the old baseball players and the WFAN host. Till the next one, take care.